power system. By which of the following system electric power may be transmitted? Options are given. Option C is the correct answer. Overhead system and underground system. Both the methods to be used to transmit the power. Okay, once again, by which of the following systems electric power may be transmitted? Option C, overhead system and underground system. Second question, bays are the conductors which connect the consumer's terminals to the distribution. Option B, service mains. Bays are the conductors which connect the consumer terminals. Note this point, consumer terminals to the distribution. Option B is the correct answer, service mains, because service mains will give the supply to consumer. So option B is the correct answer. Third question, the underground system cannot operated above 66 kV. The underground system, that means the cable transmission, the underground system cannot be operated above 66 kV. Question number 4. Overhead system can be designed for operation up to 400 kV. Overhead system can be designed for operation up to 400 kV. Option D is the correct answer. Underground system is operated within 66 kV. Overhead system operated within 400 kV. Question number 5. If variable part of annual cost on account of interest and depreciation on the capital outlay is equal to the annual cost of electrical energy wasted in the conductors, the total annual cost will be minimum and the corresponding size of conductor will be most economical. This statement is known as Kelvin's law. Once again, if variable part of annual cost on account of interest and depreciation and the capital outlay is equal to the annual cost of electrical energy wasted in the conductors, the total annual cost will be minimum. The corresponding size of conductors will be most economical. This statement is known as Kelvin's law. The wooden poles, question number 6, the wooden poles well impregnated with creosote oil or any preservative compound have life. Once again I read the questions. The wooden poles well impregnated with creosote oil or any preservative compound have life. Option C is the correct answer. 25 to 30 years. 25 to 30 years. Question number 7. Which of the following material is not used for transmission and distribution of electrical power? Which of the following materials is not used, note this point, is not used for transmission and distribution of electrical power? Option D is the correct answer. Tungsten, because copper and aluminum and steel, these three materials used in transmission and distribution lines, probably copper and aluminum used as a conductor, steel used as a supporting medium, that means towers, etc. But tungsten not used in transmission system, because tungsten used in the incandescent lamp for illumination purpose. So this element, that is tungsten, is not used in transmission and distribution system. Okay. Next question. Galvanized steel wire is generally used as it is used as a stay wire, also earth wire, and structural components. So option D is the correct answer. Galvanized is steel wire. It is probably used as a stay wire and earth wire also. The structural components also. So option D is the correct answer. Question number 9. The usual span with RCC poles are the usual span. The span means the distance between the two poles. The distance between the two poles that is called as span. So here the span with RCC poles are option C is the correct answer. 80 to 100 meters. 80 to 100 meters for RCC poles. Question number 9. The corona is considerably affected by which of the following? Corona is one of the laws in transmission system. The corona is considerably affected by which of the following? The size of the conductor, the shape of the conductor, the surface condition of the conductor. Because the corona effect will be emerged outer surface of the conductor. So it affects the size of the conductor, the shape of the conductor also, surface condition of the conductor. These three terms, these three parameters will be affected by corona loss. Okay. Now to the next question. Which of the following are the constants of the transmission line? The transmission line. Which of the following are constants of the transmission line? The resistance, the capacitance, the inductance. These three components, these three parameters. Which are the constant in transmission line? So option D is the correct answer. Move to the next question. Question number 12. Percentage regulation of a transmission line is given by percentage regulation of a transmission line is given by here some options given below. So sending, option B is the correct answer. Vs minus Vr divided by Vr and 100. Here Vs is the sending end voltage, Vr is the receiving end voltage. The difference between the sending end and the receiving end voltage is called as percentage regulation. It is denoted as percentage, so we can multiply this by 100. So the percentage regulation of a transmission line is given by Vs minus Vr divided by Vr into 100. Move to the next question. Question number 13. The phenomenon of rise in voltage at the receiving end of the open circuited or lightly loaded line is called option B, Ferranti effect. Once again, the phenomenon of rise in voltage at the receiving end, note this point, rise in voltage at the receiving end of the open circuited or lightly loaded line is called Ferranti effect. So once again I read this, the phenomenon of rising voltage at the receiving end, rising voltage at the receiving end of the open circuited or lightly loaded line is called the Ferranti effect. Okay. Move to the question number 14. The square root of the ratio of line impedance and the shunt admittance is called surge impedance of the line. The square root of the ratio of line impedance, the square root of the ratio of the line impedance and the shunt admittance is called the surge impedance of the line. Okay, move to the question number 15. Which of the following is the demerit of a constant voltage transmission system? Which of the following is the demerit of a constant voltage transmission system? Option A is the correct answer. Increase of short circuit current of the system. Increase the short circuit current of the system. Because when short circuit occurs, the voltage must be 0. Here, the constant voltage applied to the transmission system, the effect of short circuit current vulnerably increased because of continuous voltage, continuous constant voltage. So option A is the correct answer. Move to the question number 16. Low voltage cables are meant for use up to 6.6 kV. Low voltage cable are meant for use up to 6.6 kV. Move to the question number 17. The operating voltage of high voltage cables. The operating voltage of high voltage cables is up to 11 kV. For low voltage cable 6.6 kV. For high voltage cable 11 kV. Okay. The operating voltage of supertension cable is up to, option D is the correct answer, 33 kV. 33 kV. Operating voltage of supertension cable is up to 33 kV. Move to the next question. The operating voltage of extra high tension cables is up to 66 kV. 66 kV. Okay. We have to follow these 4 questions once again. For low tension cable, LT cables 6.6 kV. For high voltage cables 11 kV. Then super tension cable 33 kV and extra high tension cables 66 kV. We have to remember these things. First thing, low tension cable or low voltage cable. Second thing, high voltage cable. Third one, super tension cable. Fourth one, extra high tension cables. Okay. Low voltage cable 6.6 kV. High voltage cable 11 kV. Super tension cable 33 kV. High tension cable, extra high tension cable 66 kV. Okay. Move to the next question. Which of the following methods is used for laying underground cables? Which of the following methods is used for laying underground cables? Here some methods are given: direct laying, draw-in system, solid system, and all of the above. So these 3 methods are used to laying underground cables. That is direct laying, draw-in system, and solid system. These 3 methods used for laying underground cables. So move to the next question. Question number 21. Which of the following source of heat generation in the cables? Once again, we read the questions. Which of the following is a source of heat generation? Source of heat generation in the cables. Why the cables should be heated? How the cables to be heated? What are the sources to produce the heat inside the cable? So dielectric losses in the cable insulations. Yes, definitely dielectric losses. Dielectric means the insulation between 2 cores. The insulation between 2 cores. That means dielectric. So due to these dielectric losses, cable should be heated. Okay, first option A is the correct answer, and check the other options. I squared R loss in the conductor. Definitely R related to the cable, I related to the current flowing through the cable. So these laws is the source of temperature rise in the cable. So option B is also the correct answer. Losses in the metallic sheaths and armoring. Yes, definitely it also produces the heat surrounding the cable. So metallic sheath, losses in metallic sheaths and armorings. So all the options are correct. So option D is the exact correct answer. So why the heat generated in cables? Because of dielectric losses in cable insulation and I square R losses in the conductor, losses in the metallic sheaths and armories. So these are all the sources of heat generation cables. Move to the next question. Due to which of the following reasons the cable should not be operated too hot? So once again I read it. Due to which of the following reasons the cables should not be operated too hot? In high temperatures the cables should not be operated because the oil may lose its viscosity and it may start drawing off from higher levels. Yes, the insulation oil inside the cable gets temperature, its viscosity should be loosed and it starts drawing off from higher levels. Okay, first option is also correct. Expansion of the oil may cause the sheath to burst. Expansion of oil, when temperature increases inside increases, the oil also expanded, it burst the sheath. So explosion may be happened. Third one, unequal expansion may create voids in the insulation which will lead to ionization. This unequal expansion may create voids. Voids means bubbles inside the insulation which leads to ionization. So it will be corroded. So option C is also correct. Fourth one, the thermal instability may rise due to the rapid increase of dielectric losses with the temperature. Okay, thermal instability may rise, the rapid increase of dielectric losses with the temperature. So all the options are correct. For these reasons, the cable should not be operated too hot. Okay, move to the next question. Which of the following DC distribution system is the simplest and lowest in first cost? Once again, we read the question. Which are the following DC distribution, not AC, it is DC distribution system, is the simplest and lowest in first cost? Option A is the correct answer. That is radial system. Move to the next question. Question number 24. A booster is a series wound generator. A booster is a series wound generator. A booster normally used to boost the transmission line voltage when it goes to below the certain level of voltage. So it is used to boost the transmission line. So we have to use as booster a series wound generator. Okay. Now to the next question. Question number 25. Besides a method of trial and error, which of the following methods is employed for solution of network problems in interconnected system? Once again, we read the question. Besides a method of trial and error, which of the following methods is employed for solution of network problems in interconnected system? So option E is the correct answer. The circulating current method, the Thevenin's theorem, the superposition of currents, direct application of Kirchhoff's laws. These four methods are used for network problems in interconnected systems.